Hello, I am Marisha. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 fun ways on how you can use rub-on transfers to create card projects. Let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to share with you a few rub-on transfer designs that are currently available at scrapbook.com. There you will find retro garden, winter florals, wild blooms. Oh my goodness, and this adorable set right here, this one is called Cozy Autumn, and it includes sentiments such as sweater weather, hello pumpkin, thankful for everything, and together. Each pack includes 2 sheets of rub-on transfers. Some will have just a floral design, and some include sentiments. Also included in the pack, you will find a stick that you can use to burnish the rub-on transfers to the surface of your project. For the first project, I'm going to use Retro Garden, so I'm going to bring in a piece of vellum. I'm also going to use scrapbook.com's double-sided adhesive sheets because we're going to create a rub-on vellum sticker. So I'm going to remove the release paper from one side of the adhesive sheet, and then I'm going to position and adhere the adhesive side to the vellum. I'm going to use my scraper tool to burnish the adhesive and make sure there are no air bubbles. I'm now cutting out the images that I'm going to use for this project. Once I'm done, I'm going to remove the protective sheet from the back of the transfer, and I'm going to position the image on the front of the vellum. I'm now bringing in my scraper tool and I'm going to burnish the image on the vellum. Now here's a little tip, trick, hack, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes when I am working with rub-on transfers and I use my scraper tool, sometimes I'll flip my scraper tool, as you see that I just did, and use the opposite end to burnish the surface. I'm now positioning and burnishing the last few images on the vellum. And I'm going to gently remove the release sheet just to ensure that I burnished the entire surface and that I didn't miss an area. There have been times where I have burnished the surface and then I went to lift the release sheet and some of the image didn't fully transfer. So it's easy, just reposition the image and just burnish the area that did not fully transfer. Off camera, I die cut a circle out of white cardstock and a slightly larger circle from gold metallic cardstock. I'm then going to position this rub-on transfer on the circle cutout and basically repeating the last steps, just burnishing the image, making sure that the transfer will successfully transfer on the cardstock. And there you have it. Next, I'm going to fussy cut the images, and then it will be time to position these elements on my card front, which I decided to use scrapbook.com's mosaic cover plate die, and I cut it out of white cardstock and adhered the entire cutout on the front of my card base, which is an A2 standard size top folding card. I'm now going to position all of the elements on the front of my card. Now for this sticker, I decided to cut it in half. So don't be afraid to cut your images, whether it's a rub-on sticker, any ephemera that you may use to create cards, cut it in half. By doing so, it is a great way to stretch your supplies. Now that I'm happy with the placement, I am removing the release paper from the back of my vellum sticker, and I'm going to adhere the flowers to the front of my card. Finally, I'm going to adhere the circle to my card. This card is basically complete, but I decided to add one more thing. Well, actually, two. So I began to look at the hello sentiment and I thought, this looks familiar. So I went through my stash and found out that the thank you number 3 sentiment die set has a hello die that matches the font in this transfer image. So I decided to die cut it out of black cardstock and of course the shadow, and I decided to adhere it to this card. Once I added embellishments to this card is complete. For the second card, we're going to use an image from the Wild Blooms Rub-On Transfer set. This set is so gorgeous. It has butterflies, bees, hearts, flowers, just gorgeous. So next I'm going to bring in Distress Oxide's Tattered Rose and Tumbled Glass, and I'm going to apply the oxide on a cardstock panel. I didn't want this background to be extremely dark in color, so I'm just lightly applying the oxides on this panel. For the sentiment, I selected the Grateful die from scrapbook.com's Grateful Sentiments die set, and I die cut it from gold cardstock. I'm then going to adhere it on the center of the panel. And then from there, I'm going to position the transfers on the top and the bottom of the sentiment. And basically, just like the first card, we're going to burnish the image on the panel. And then I decided to bring in a butterfly and a little heart and added that to the panel. I'm then going to flip the panel and apply the second transfer to the bottom of the sentiment. And then from there, for a little bit of dimension, I decided to add some foam tape to the back of the panel. And then I'm going to adhere the panel to my card base. Off camera, I decided to die cut the Grateful Sentiment from black cardstock and inlaid the positive pieces in the negative space, making this card complete. For the third and final card, we're going to create a shaker card. So I'm going to bring in the Christmas Sentiments and Winter Florals rub-on transfers. First, I'm going to bring in Distress Oxide's Tumbled Glass, and I'm going to apply the oxide to the bottom right corner of the panel. I'm then going to spritz the panel with water, and I'm going to bring in a paper towel to soak up the excess. To ensure the panel is dry, I'm going to apply some heat with my heat tool, and then it's on to the next step. I use scrapbook.com's oval shaped die to create the frame that I'm going to use to create this shaker card. I'm using the frame as a guide to position the image on the panel. Then I'm going to remove the release paper and burnish the image to the panel. Next, I'm going to bring in a piece of acetate and I'm going to cut it down to size. I'm then going to use my adhesive tape to adhere the acetate to the back of the frame. Next, I'm going to select the sentiment and I'm going to then position it on the front of my shaker window, and then I'm going to burnish the sentiment on the acetate. Next, I'm going to add foam tape to the back of my frame. Then from there, I'm going to bring in my anti-static powder tool and I'm going to run it along the inside of the window. This will ensure that the sequins doesn't stick to the foam tape. After I pour the sequins on my panel, I'm then going to remove the release tape from the back of the foam tape. And then from there, I'm going to adhere the frame to the panel. I decided to die cut a gold frame that I am now adhering to the front of my shaker panel. For a final touch, I decided to add a few images on the outside of my shaker frame. I thought this idea was very unique and it would add a fun touch to this card. Once I'm done applying the rub-on transfers, this card is complete. Here's a final glance at the cards that were created today. Let me know below, have you ever used rub-ons to create card projects? And if not, what do you think about them now? Are you interested in trying them out? Let me know below. Thank you for joining me on today. I appreciate you as always for stopping by. I thank you in advance for subscribing, clicking the thumbs up button, and the notification bell. Don't forget to check out my blog at thediaryofbellerose.com. I am sending you love and a whole lot of hugs. Until the next crafty project, please take care.